What's up, fellas? In the second video of the day, we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, I've made a lot of negative Bulls videos this year, and I had relatively high hopes for this team. I thought they were going to have a good season, and at times they have had a good season, but unfortunately, at the worst possible time, things are kind of falling apart for this group. Zach LaVine is now going to be missing at least a few games as a result of some protocol stuff. They haven't been playing well since they acquired Nikola Vucevic. All kinds of things going wrong here in Chicago. We're going to talk about the situation as a whole in the second video of the day. But really quickly before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every single day on this channel, so it's a great place for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube. If you're new here, by the way, what's up? My name is Tucker. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well if you're enjoying them, and you can check me out at various socials in a Linktree link down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. So here are some facts, just some overall stuff before we get into the LaVine stuff, the Vucevic stuff, whatever. The Chicago Bulls have lost 4 games in a row as of recording this video. They are 3-13 in their last 16 games. They are 5 full games out of the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. So in a typical season, they would be pretty much out of the playoffs at this point. If you're 5 games out of the 8th seed with, not much time left in the regular season relative to having to make up 5 games, and Zach LaVine's going to be missing the next couple, your season's pretty much over. However, this year we have the play-in game, which has become a relatively controversial topic as of late. And as a result of that, Chicago does still have a chance. They are technically the 10th seed at the moment, but they are just 1 game ahead of both Toronto as well as Washington, ironically, for the 10th seed. And again, as I said, Zach LaVine, their leading scorer, their best player, will now be out for at least the next couple of games, reportedly due to some protocol stuff. And there's multiple different reasons why this is really, really unfortunate. One, this is a Bulls team that certainly expected to have a really good year, and they came into the year expecting to be a playoff team and to really validate the roster, validate the process of tanking and adding young players and the development of LaVine. This year was supposed to be the year that the Bulls proved that everything they've gone through, everything they put their fan base through for the last 3 or 4 years was going to be worth it, and it was going to pay off with a postseason appearance. And here they are, 10 games under 500 again, right? So that part of it's unfortunate. In addition to the fact that all that hope that you had before about how this is going to be a good team, this is going to be the year that you make the postseason, all of that was elevated once you then went out and made the Nikola Vucevic trade, which, as I've chronicled in a couple of recent videos, ultimately has not resulted in the kind of success that they wanted, not necessarily having anything to do with Vucevic. They're just not playing well overall, despite Vucevic's numbers in Chicago being really, really good. And on top of that, they owe their 2021 pick to Orlando. Now, it's top 4 protected. So in a scenario in which they don't make the postseason and they are in the lottery, it's unlikely, it's very unlikely that they end up keeping their pick. If they end up in the top 4, that's going to be pretty shocking, especially given this is a team that hasn't had fantastic lottery luck in the past, with the exception of last year moving up a little bit to get Patrick Williams. Not that past lottery luck kind of indicates anything in the future, but it's just, a point that needs to be made. So it seems like Chicago is going to be going into next year without their first round pick this year, which you're a Magic fan, you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, thank goodness Chicago is going to continue to be bad. Maybe they get another, top 10 pick out of this, and that could be a huge, kind of boost to their young talent in this team. Maybe they do end up with the top 4 pick, and maybe everything works out, whatever. We can talk about that at a different time. And so ultimately, now where you're at with Chicago, one, you're going to still try and push for the postseason. That is obviously still the goal. Even if you just get the 10th seed, you can play a play-in game or 2, potentially work your way into the 8th seed. That's something that you're going to want to try and do. I wouldn't necessarily say that their season is over, because let's say LaVine misses 3 or 4 games. Even if they lose them all, they're still only at, maybe 1 or 2 games out of the 10th seed. And if you're fully healthy and ready to go by the time the play-in game rolls around, Zach LaVine can have a handful of really big games. You can score a lot of points, shoot really well, and you can still make the playoffs via the play-in game. There's a lot of variance there. With the way that shot making is now in the league, you can have a team shoot really well or really poorly in a given game. And the fact that it's only 1 to 2 games you need to win to get in shows, that it's not a huge deal to be in the play-in game, nor is it nearly impossible for a team to make the postseason as a 10th seed, right? However, apart from that priority of let's still try and make the postseason, the other thing you need to consider is, okay, maybe it's time to start evaluating our roster and figuring out guys that are long-term pieces, guys that we want to continue to take with us. And there's a lot of guys to kind of evaluate here, right? The 3 primary ones being Lauri Markkanen, who's 23, Coby White, who is 20, and Patrick Williams, who is 19. The most difficult one to evaluate for me is the guy you need to evaluate the most, and it's Lauri Markkanen. I think he's a talented player, obviously can shoot the basketball, But the question is Lauri Markkanen a guy that is good no matter the team he's on, or is he a guy that looks good when he's given as many opportunities as he has on the Chicago team? In a different scenario, he'd basically just be a guy that spots up and shoots. Now, he would be an overqualified, just spot-up shooter guy, in my opinion. But when you're the Bulls and you're the team that has to consider what to pay this guy in the offseason, all of these scenarios need to be kind of rolling through your head and trying to figure out what is the true value of Lauri Markkanen. If you want to tell me that Lauri Markkanen gets a $10 million a year deal, if he gets a 3-year $30 million, 3-year or 4-year $40 million, you want to tell me that happens in the offseason? Cool, I'd believe you. If you want to tell me he gets 15 a year, wouldn't be shocked either. Restricted free agency is so difficult to predict and figure out because of that variable of, well, we can match it at all times. So there could be another team that tries to go way over the top of what they would normally offer in order to pry that guy away. Otherwise, there's no point in making the offer. It's all over the place, right? But you need to figure that out. You need to evaluate, is Lauri Markkanen a guy that you want to keep long-term? You would think the answer would be yes, because they had the opportunity to trade him at the trade deadline and they didn't. Not that they didn't try. So maybe they just didn't get an offer that they liked, and ultimately they don't want to keep Markkanen. They just were unable to get a trade they liked. That is certainly possible, okay? The other guy that is also becoming really difficult to evaluate, not only as an individual player, but within the context of this Bulls roster, is Coby White. I've always thought Coby White's a talented player. This year, the efficiency stuff has not looked good at all. And when he's not scoring, it doesn't look like he really knows what to do, right? And that's difficult when you're trying to be the backcourt partner alongside Zach LaVine and you can't guard. So here's kind of where I land with Coby White. Still very, very young. He was a one-and-done college player, kind of moved up the draft boards late in the process. Still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. It seems like his destiny is probably as a good six-man scorer in the league, right? So if you're Chicago, that means that he's probably not the long-term backcourt partner alongside Zach LaVine that you kind of hope that he would be when you drafted him. So you kind of need to go out and get somebody that you think fits really well alongside Zach LaVine, as he is still 25, 26 years old. Okay. And it's not like a sunk cost to have Coby White coming off the bench and scoring a lot for his next 2 seasons that you can kind of figure out whatever you need from him past his rookie contract, right? But I would say that, again, just given what is a relatively brief evaluation period of just 2 years, Coby White's probably a six-man guy for the rest of his career. He's not going to be able to guard enough to be a primary guy, as a starter, and he's not going to be a good enough offensive player to be the primary guy as a starter. He's a good offensive player, but he just doesn't have the all-around game required to be a starter in the league. At this point, he's 20 years old. Who knows what could happen down the road. And then the last guy you really need to evaluate that I think is pretty clear is a really good long-term piece here is Patrick Williams, okay? There was a lot of uproar, I guess, is the best way I could put it, when Patrick Williams was selected where he was by Chicago. But I really like this guy. I mean, there's two types of guys typically that Patrick Williams turns into. You draft him, and he's just a stiff, right? And it's like, okay, he's really good at defense. Like, is he actually that good at defense, or is he just so bad at offense and so athletic that you chalk yourself into, well, he has to be good at something, so he's good on defense. There's that level. And then the other side is what Patrick Williams actually is. And that is a very, very, very good defender, both on and off the ball, an incredible athlete, flying all over the court, but also has shown a good amount of fluidity and promise on the offensive end of the floor. Has he been outstanding? No. But you can see it. He's not a stiff. He knows at times what to do offensively. It's just going to take some time for him to develop that. And he's 19 years old, so he's got some time to develop it, right? So Patrick Williams is absolutely a long-term piece, especially on a Chicago roster that does not have a ton of great defensive pieces. He's going to be one of them moving forward. He's a guy that you certainly want to keep. And so as you continue to evaluate this Bulls roster, you say, okay, if we don't make the playoffs this year, how do we make ourselves a playoff team? Well, LaVine and Vucevic are obviously the core pieces of that. Markkanen and Coby White are both flexible, potential movable pieces. Patrick Williams is a guy that you're keeping, right? So what you need is a backcourt fit alongside Zach LaVine, and you need to figure out, is Patrick Williams a 3 or a 4? You need to go get the position outside of what that is. If you think that Patrick Williams can be a good enough floor spacer at either of those positions, cool. If you don't, you need to go out and get someone that can really, really shoot alongside Zach LaVine, as well as someone on the wing as well, and hopefully that guy on the wing can defend in addition. Now, this guy is certainly not completely falling in Chicago, despite what has been a disappointing season for them. They're a little bit handicapped by the fact that they have already traded away 2 future firsts, including 2021. But as you go into next year, LaVine, Vucevic, White, maybe Markkanen, Patrick Williams, whatever you do in free agency, it's not a bad group by any means, and certainly is one that continues to improve. And as Patrick Williams continues to grow, White, potentially Markkanen as well, this could be a very, very good team moving forward, and should be a playoff team for the foreseeable future. As long as Vucevic stays healthy, doesn't fall off a cliff now that he's 30 years old, all those things should be good. Now, you're going to be going for championships anytime soon? No, but I'm sure most Bulls fans are like, hey, you know what? We're good. Let's just make the playoffs. That's all I really want. So it's unfortunate the way this has worked out. Maybe they still end up making the postseason, but if you're looking at long-term evaluation of this roster, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, that is going to be the end of the second video of the day, and I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all next time.